preparation for Tu B'Shvat, which is going to be next week. And we're going to talk about the secret of the land of Israel. Now, there has been an eternal bond between the Jewish people and the land of Israel from dawn of history until these days. And it says, you could look in source 1 in a Habakkuk, the prophet Habakkuk. He stood and measured out the land. And the Chazal say that Hashem measured all the lands of the world, and he did not find an appropriate land for the land of Israel, for the nation of Israel, more than the land of Israel. And now this is exceptional, because that when one thinks about the land of Israel, what is so special about this place and not a different place in the world? Why should Jews thrive and succeed specifically in the land of Israel? What do you say? And you're not in Brooklyn or Borough Park or Zurich. What do you say?
It's beautiful.
It is true, the land of Israel is indeed a beautiful place, and also the climate is beautiful. Whilst in Europe, not too far from here, it is minus 40 degrees in some places.
What is the question again? Like, why Hashem chose this place of all?
What is so special about the land of Israel? What do you say?
It's a new country, so you can make changes probably easily. It's not like a big establishment.
So it is a yeshuva, the land of Israel is the newest of the newer, but it is also the oldest of the old. It is the most ancient land on earth. It is the birth of a civilization was actually from Mesopotamia, this area, and the land of Israel is the most ancient. But it is true. It is also very old, and it is also very new. And actually, Herzl. Does anyone remember the title of his book? Alter Neuland, and that means in a German? Old New Land. That's right. It is also old, and it is also new. It is also, he got a very great destiny in front of it, and a glorious past. So, what do you say is the secret of this land?
I would say that as well, like this landmass, it's where the 3 continents, like according to ancient world, were met. All the continents, different people met.
That's right.
It's a central point. You have people from Africa, people from Europe, from the sea, and people from Asia.
That's right.
If one thinks about Abraham's mission was like he wanted to teach the world, the people, about the one true God. So this would be the best place to come, because people from all around the world meet here. So I think that's maybe one reason why Hashem chose this.
That's right. What do you say?
The secret to the land of Israel is that it has more yeshivas per capita than any other country in the world.
Beautiful. That is true. The center of the Torah world is actually in Israel. More people study Torah here, more institutions of the Torah, like Machon Meir, and other wonderful yeshivas. It is in Israel, and it is true. Israel has also got a very special gift, that a blessing, I should say, that Rabbi Jonathan Sachs, he gave a beautiful talk about the land of Israel. You could see it on the website of Rabbi Jonathan Sachs. It's only just a few minutes long, but it is beautiful. And he says something special, that Israel took a tattered and shattered nation from the valley of death, from the Holocaust, and made it young again. And this is incredible, because that if one looks at the miracle that the survivors of the Holocaust, that in Europe they didn't have the power or the strength to stand up against the Nazis, apart from in very small examples, like in the Warsaw Ghetto and in other places. But they didn't have the strength, they didn't have the power, they didn't even think that they could stand up. And then 3 years later, the same survivors of the Holocaust came to the land of Israel, and some of them, he just stepped off of the ships, bringing them from Europe. They stepped off of the ships, and they were given guns, and they had to fight. They didn't even know how to use the guns. They didn't even understand each other, because they spoke in the different languages, and the commanders had to have had to explain every command in Yiddish and in Russian and in Polish and all kinds of different languages. And they fought in a Lachon, and they fought in the War of Independence, and that is a miracle. Like, how can one understand that? If one would, if a, for example, an alien would he come in a spaceship from out of space, and he would land over here, and he would try and understand the history of the Jewish people, and they would teach him about the Holocaust, and they would teach him about the establishment of the State of Israel. How many years did you think he would think separated these two events?
Decades, hundreds of years, maybe.
Hundreds of years. And then if one would tell him, Mr. Alien, only 3 years is separated the Holocaust and the establishment of the State of Israel, he would think that we were nuts. Because that, how could it be?
There's no way.
What?
There's no way. I'm that alien.
So the secret is the land of Israel. The land of Israel, in Rabbi Jonathan Sachs' words, he took a tattered and shattered nation and made it young again. And this is incredible. This is the power that Hashem gave to the land of Israel. But as we are going to see, that our true self appears over here. And the Rihal, Rabbi Yehuda HaLevi in the book of the Kuzari, he gives a beautiful example of a vineyard, that a vineyard can produce wonderful grapes only in one condition, that it is in the right soil, right? If you try planting a vineyard in the desert, it is not going to grow. It has to be in specific places. And the same thing of the nation of Israel. The nation of Israel, it can only grow and flourish in its natural habitat, which is the land of Israel. And the exile, the Galut, is not the place for Jews to live. There is no a future for the nation of Israel outside its land. But it isn't enough. In order that a vineyard is going to flourish and grow, it isn't enough that it is just going to have the right soil. One has to cultivate it. One has to take care of it. And this is the Torah and Mitzvot. The Torah and Mitzvot through studying Torah and keeping the commandments, so the nation of Israel is able to reach its potential. So this is just a short introduction. Yeah.
Even without the Torah and Chas v'Shalom and commandments, is there still value in Jews being in Israel?
Yes, there is definitely a value of being in Israel. This is what Ema Banim Smecha says. Rabbi Yisachar Teichtel, and he gives a beautiful story. I met the son of a person who you told the story. Rabbi Teichtel was a great rabbi in Slovakia, and during the Holocaust, he had to hide in Budapest, and there he found a bunker where Jews were hiding, and they were in despair. And they asked him to give words of encouragement. So he told them the following story: that there was once a shamash in a yestedo. A shamash is a person whose his job is to take care of the shul and to take care of the community. And one day he passed away. So the people of the community had a compassion on his widow, and they told her, you could do the same job as your husband did. Okay, so she asked him, what do I have to do? So they said it is, very soon it is going to be a slichot. And during a slichot, it is a special prayer that one says in the Chodesh Elul, before Rosh Hashanah, and the people have to wake up very early in the morning, at the crack of dawn, and they say a slichot. Okay, so she said, well, what do I have to do? So they gave her a special stick, and they told her, you have to knock on the people's windows to wake them up for a slichot. Okay, so he took the stick and she went to the end of the shtetl, and she knocked on one of the windows. And it happened to be the house of Shendor Weiss. And now Shendor Weiss wasn't a very scrupulous fellow. He wasn't...
Religious, yeah.
That's right, he also wasn't religious. He didn't really keep the Shabbat or the kashrut. What?
Maybe he wasn't his house.
So she knocked on his window, and he couldn't understand why is she waking him up so early in the morning. So she explained the circumstances, and he had a compassion on her, and he said, I am going to do it instead of you. I am going to take the stick and I'm going to knock on people's windows. Okay, so she was very happy and she went back home. Okay, so he came and he took the stick and he shouted, Slichot, Slichot, the Jews, wake up for Slichot. And then when he knocked on the first window, what do you think happened?
Why are you doing it? Go away.
That's right. They said, you, a Shendor Weiss, dare to wake me up for a slichot? You don't even keep Shabbat. That's right, they go away.
It's every single house.
What? Every single house.
Why did you try and do it? And then they didn't show up, and the Rav asked, where were you guys? You didn't show up at Seichos then. He said, Shendor Weiss woke us up. We decided not to go. He said, because you didn't go out to Shendor Weiss, the Nazis are going to come and liberate the city. They did that next week.
Well, that part of the story I don't know, but the first part of it you said is the version that I know, that that morning there wasn't any minyan for the slichot, so the rabbi asked, why didn't you come? So we said, he Shendor Weiss, so he woke us up. So the rabbi told them, all the things that you accused him of doing, you were correct, that he didn't keep Shabbat and didn't do a kashrut. But now he was doing the right thing. Now he was waking you up for a slichot, so you should have listened. So Rabbi Kotler said, this is exactly the issue in Eretz Yisrael, of that the Zionist movement. It is true that some of them don't keep a Torah and a mitzvot, perhaps even more than some, or perhaps a majority of them. And it is true that they do all kinds of bad things, but they are doing something great. They are doing something extraordinary. They are building the land of Israel. They are being...
Just by being. You're saying.
That's right. If they are being
Just by sinning.
a very important part in the process of a redemption, of the reviving the land of Israel, by building the land of Israel, or by fighting for the land of Israel. They are doing great things. And then you should have listened. So this is what Rabbi Kotler told them. And he said that at the beginning he was against the Zionism, but after he understood that the only destiny for the nation of Israel is in its land, so he decided it to be a pro-Zionistic, and he wrote a very special book, which I am sure that it's in the library here, of thousands of sources which he quoted from his memory, and it is exact sources. It is exact quotations. If you open up the books and you would compare them, it is the same thing. and he did not have any books when he wrote this book, he was able to memorize everything, and he wrote it down from his memory. So, the land of Israel is the place for the nation of Israel. Now, we're going to talk about the eternal bond between the nation of Israel and its land. And if you look in a source 3, this is actually called the Yetochechav. The Yetochechav are all kinds of curses in a parashat Bechukotai. And in the curses, there is actually a blessing in disguise. Okay? So who could tell me, please, could somebody read the source 3 and then tell me what is the blessing in disguise here? Okay? Who would like it to read it? Thanks.
I will make the land desolate, and the foes who dwell upon it will desolate.
Okay, great. So, what is the blessing in a disguise here?
Is that when our enemies are going to capture the land and take control of it? It won't produce anything.
That's right. And throughout history, if the Crusaders came here, and all that remained from them were different fortresses that they built, the Ottoman Empire, the Mamluks, all kinds of different nations that you tried to conquer the land of Israel, but they couldn't they put a foothold here. And there's a famous description of Mark Twain, who came to the land of Israel in the middle of the 19th century, and he describes that everything, there is nothing here. It is all not inhabited. We are just a few towns, and everything is. He was very disappointed but he thought that he's going to see the beautiful Holy Land, and he didn't see anything. It was all empty. Everything was empty. There were very few people over here, and there was poverty, and there were diseases, and also it is very difficult to imagine this, but most of the Sharon, close to Netanya and Yehuda Sharon, everything was filled with swamps, terrible swamps that had the malaria disease. And whoever came here, many people came here, and they were bitten by these mosquitoes that carried the malaria disease, and they died, they perished. It was a terrible place to live. And there were bandits. It was very, very difficult. And that is how the land of Israel was for almost 2,000 years. Almost 2,000 years. So this is actually a blessing in disguise, that the land of Israel is going to remain faithful for the nation of Israel for all those years, until the nation of Israel comes back. And the Ramban, who wants to read source 4?
Ramban.
Thanks.
From when we left it, the land of Israel, no other nation received it, and they all tried to inhabit it, but without success.
Thank you. And additionally, the Ramban writes a letter to his son describing what he saw here, because when he came to the land of Israel, and he buried in the land of Israel also, and there is a shul in Ma'ot city, he called the Beit Knesset Haramban, the Beit Knesset of Ramban, and he describes, but in all of Jerusalem there were only 2 Jews. 2 were Jewish painters in all of Jerusalem. And when he came and visited, everything was, there was nothing here.
Maybe they would have been killed if they did.
He could be, because there were bandits and there was poverty here.
What year was it?
Yeah, like the
The Ramban lived about 800 years ago. Yeah.
Ramban,
Yeah.
1280 or something.
So the land of Israel remained faithful to the nation of Israel, and also the nation of Israel never forgot its land. All the generations yearned for the return to Zion. And the grandfathers and the fathers before them, everyone prayed that 3 days for the return to Eretz Yisrael. B'techazena einenu v'leshuvcha le'Tzion. So, I would like to ask, just tell you before that, eventually, the nation of Israel returned to its land. And even before the Zionistic movement, the pupils of the Gra, the Vilna Gaon lived in Vilna. He was a genius in the Torah study, and also very learned in the Kabbalah. He wrote very important books on the Zohar and on the Kabbalah, and he understood, according to his calculations, he had very deep understanding of the Tanakh. He understood that the redemption is going to start in the year Tafresh. The year Tafresh is about 1840. If the redemption is going to start. Because it says in a Shir Shirim, Kol HaTor Nishma Be'artzenu. And HaTor is Hei Tafresh. That is the year that the redemption is going to start. So he urged his students, go to the land of Israel and start the process of a redemption. Vilna Gaon, and
What's the pasuk again? Can you say the pasuk?
הניצנים נראו בארץ, וכל התור נשמע בארצנו. This is from Yeshua Shirim. And it actually means that there is an ancient prophecy in the book of Yechezkel that when the land of Israel is going to start producing fruit, it is a definite sign for the beginning of the redemption. And this is what it means in the pasuk. Hanitzanim nir'u ba'aretz, and the birds are going to be seen in the land, and kol haTorah nishma be'artzenu, and then this is actually the beginning of the redemption. So the students of the Vilna Gaon, they came to Jerusalem, and the descendants of there to this day in the old city, and you could recognize them. I will tell you how, because they are the only ones. Say it. That's right.
For extended periods of time.
That's right. You could identify them if you see them walking around with the tefillin on their heads in the old city of Jerusalem. Those are descendants of the students of the Vilna Gaon. So shortly after that, it was the first Aliyah to the land of Israel. Yeah.
Wait, the Gra or the Vilna Gaon, or is it the same person?
The same one. Yeah.
They don't even sound the same.
Gra is the abbreviation of it.
It is in a Hebrew and in English. So shortly after that, it was the first Aliyah to Eretz Yisrael of the Chovevei Tzion from Russia. The Jews of Russia, they decided to, because of the hardships that were there, and because of the difficulties, and then the Chafetz Chaim, he actually saw that the redemption is coming very close, and he said it to his son, I would like to go and live in Eretz Yisrael. The Chafetz Chaim said that. The Chafetz Chaim was the greatest tzaddik of a generation, and he said that he wants to buy a house and he wants to live in Eretz Yisrael, but for various reasons he was unable to do so. He tried a few times, but because he was so valued and so important in Europe, the Jews of Europe wouldn't let him leave. So eventually he said, if I can go, yeah.
Why did he just convince them to come with him?
Well, he actually told people to go to Eretz Yisrael, but at the time it was very difficult to leave Europe, and many people, they preferred to stay. And he understood that if he can't go and live in Eretz Yisrael, at least he is going to write a book about the laws of the temple and all the sacrifices, but he understood that it's coming very close. So he wrote a very important book called Likutei Halachot on Kodshim. And so he understood that the redemption is coming very close. So in Shmoneh Esrei, so we say 3 times a day, we say the bracha of the Birkat HaShanim, right? It says Barech et Hashana Hazod, right? V'ten et tvota le'tova. And after that it says Yikibutz Galuyot, right? So the Chazal say in the tractate of the Megillah that this is the order of the redemption, that first the land of Israel is going to give its fruit, and then the nation of Israel is going to come back, is going to return. And this is exactly what we saw. If we examine the history, the process of the redemption, the land of Israel was started giving its fruit, and then it was the Kibbutz Galuyot. The Jews of Europe came to the land of Israel, and then the Jews of the East, and afterwards there's a prophecy. It says that the Jews of the north are going to come. And then nobody understood. What are the Jews of the north? We understood that when, in 1991, when Russia,
and
the Soviet Union, he collapsed, and the Jews of Russia were able to come to the land of Israel, and that was the Jews of the north that are going to return. So this is another prophecy that was fulfilled, and also the Jews of Ethiopia came. Yes.
This is a strange question, possibly, but I know, of course, there's people who go to other countries besides Israel.
But it's true. It's true. The Jews that go to in many countries.
Even when they have freedom to come to Israel, at the same exact time they went somewhere else during these periods of.
But it's right. Those were big mistakes that people made, especially those who decided to return to Europe. So there are choices. We believe in a free will, and that people could make their own choices. However, the process of the redemption is always advancing forward. It is always advancing forward, and it doesn't matter what we do, it is always going to continue. And eventually, Baruch Hashem, the land of Israel is flourishing now, and we have got an independent state and a strong economy, innovations. It is extraordinary how a very poor state at the beginning in the 50s, he turned into a very strong state that many people from all over the world want to come over here, because in Israel there is wealth and there is a strong economy. This is extraordinary. And now it is if we look at the process of the redemption, what comes after Birkat Hashanim, it is a Kibbutz Galuyot, right? A Kibbutz Galuyot, and then after Kibbutz Galuyot, what is the bracha that you say in the Shmoneh Esrei? That's right, Hashiva Shaftenu, because now, since that we built the land of Israel, the nation of Israel, we turned it to its land. Now it is time to understand our identity, to understand our destiny, and to have the mishpat, the law, according to the Torah. This is the next step. And then specifically in these days that we are living now, whoever hears what is going on in the news and in the politics, there is supposed to be a big change in the system of justice and of the courts, of the Supreme Court. Now, this isn't yet the fulfillment of the bracha that we are talking about, of Hashiva Shaftenu Kavarishana, that we want our judges to be be according to the Torah, but it's a step. It is a step, and as I said, with the redemption, it is a step by step, and eventually, also this is going to happen. It is going to proceed, and the law of a land is going to be according to the Torah. And Baruch Hashem, the Batei Midrash, yeshivas that are studying the laws according to the Torah, and they are trying to create a law system, a modern law system that is going to be based on the Torah, which is it is incredible. Actually, just one moment, the grandfather of the president Herzog, Rabbi Yitzhak Herzog, who this president is named after him. He was at the beginning of the chief rabbi of Ireland, and then he was the chief rabbi of Eretz Israel, and then the first chief rabbi of the state of Israel. And he foresaw that the state of Israel was going to be established, so he quickly put together a constitution according to the Torah and laws according to the Torah, and he wrote books about it, and he was sure that the system is going to be based on the Torah. And instead, because of political reasons and because of cultural reasons, the people in charge, they decided to adopt the Turkish law, the British law, all kinds of different laws, systems.
Which Turkish law?
The Ottoman Empire, they had they ruled the land of Israel before the British, and some of the laws today are actually based on the Ottoman Empire, which is not updated, and it was corrupt and everything, and then we just copied all of the nonsense, and we adopted it, which is a grave mistake. So
Why don't we fix it?
This is what we are hoping that it is going to be done, but there is still a process. But as I said, there is hope, because that Batei Midrash in the Shderot, for example, and in Beit Orot, and in Natan, there is a Batei Midrash there that they are working very hard in order to address all the modern dilemmas. For example, I just saw that a few days ago, a new book was published about a Choshen Mishpat, about the civil law, based on the Torah, and we deal with all of the modern contemporary questions, such as Zechuyot Yotzrim. How would one translate Zechuyot Yotzrim?
The right of return?
No, if rights of Copyright. That's right. So this is the question nowadays. How do you define the copyright? What are the limits for a copyright in the internet of music? It is a very serious question. And now there is artificial intelligence, right? This is even new thing. So what do you do with your copyright? Because the artificial intelligence has to base its knowledge on material that has been published that is a copyright, and then they create something new. So how do you define the new creation? Does it belong to the copyright of the first authors, or does it belong to the artificial intelligence of the people behind the artificial intelligence? So this is a serious question of that nobody yet has the answer, but they are trying to understand it also from a Torah perspective. So all these contemporary questions are being dealt with, and then eventually, because that the Torah is the greatest system there is, and it is filled with justice, and it is filled with godly wisdom, so it is going to be accepted by everyone. But it is going to take time, but the work is being done. Anyway, I just would like to say a few more things over here, is that our inner self and the land of Israel. Now, yeah.
I'm just curious, how much does the chief rabbi of Israel get paid?
I don't know. But I don't know.
Very good.
I have no idea. So, Avraham, he was called to travel to the land of Israel. And it says in the Breshit, who wants to read source 5?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Okay. The Hashem said to Abraham, "You offer yourself from your land, from your relatives, and from your father's house to the land that I will show you. And I will make you a great nation. I will bless you and make you name great. And you shall be a blessing. I will bless those who bless you, and him who curses you, you will curse. And all the families of the earth shall bless themselves by you."
Thank you. So, first of all, what word repeats itself?
You?
Bless. Because that our object, our purpose of going into the land of Israel is to be a blessing. This is what we are supposed to be, a blessing for the whole world. And this is actually our destiny. Our destiny is to become a blessing. What kind of a blessing? What do you think?
What kind of blessing?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
How?
What does Rabbi mean?
In what way are we going to be a blessing to the whole world?
Reveal Hashem to the and also live according to the Torah, and then they will be able to see through our living according to the Torah Hashem's gift to the world, and they will want to emulate it as well.
That's right.
Wait, the last part doesn't make sense. they're not Jewish.
So in the prophecy of Yeshayahu, Isaiah, in the second chapter, so there is a very special prophecy that some of it is written on the building of the United Nations. They shall plow the
Beat their plow. Beat their swords.
That's right.
Plow
Right.
plowshares.
in the Hebrew, ויכתתו את חרבותם לעתים, ולא ילמדו עד מלחמה, and they shall not study any warfare. Now, that is only the second part, but the first part it says that there is going to be a day that the temple is going to be built in Jerusalem, and all the nations of the world are going to come and they're going to want to learn from the ways of Hashem and the way of the Torah. Even though that they are not Jewish, everyone has got something that they could learn. They don't have to keep all of the mitzvahs, but they could learn from the light of the Torah, from the way of the Torah. There are many, many ideals in the Torah that are relevant to Jews and also to non-Jews, and to the whole world. Yeah.
Just the fact that the whole world is a lot more powerful than just Jews. How can we have enough to give them all? Seems like they'll be waiting online for a while.
Well, nowadays it could be understood because nowadays we have social media, we have internet, we have WhatsApp. We could send to many people at once. We have Zoom. Many people could see a shiur at once, even if they're not sitting in the same room. And this is a blessing that Hashem, He gave humanity the wisdom how to create these tools. One could see it obviously during the Corona, like everyone remembers how there was lockdowns and everyone had to stay in their home. But what brought people here together was a technology and social media and a Zoom, which is something great if it is used properly, if it is used to bring good values and to spread the light of the Torah to the world. And so our goal is actually to be a blessing. And B'ezrat Hashem, this is going to come true. We have to start step by step. So this is a part of what I wanted to tell you tonight, and the other part I could send to you by email. So good evening, everyone.